So important to be able to just drop your barriers, drop your beliefs, drop your sense of always wanting to be right. Raise your hand and say, look, I need some help. Let's work through this together. I'm gonna listen to you because I understand that your perspective, your opinion, your ideology, and other people, they might start down here, but then they see you up on this pedestal and they're like, wow, you know, I wanna come up there. And an important question of law, which is, you know, how it got to the Supreme Court, because it has something to do with the laws. And as they're working through this case, you know, during the argument, one of the Supreme Court justices said to, you know, this lawyer guy, the statute of limitations is admiralty. Said to this guy, the statute of limitations in admiralty law is 6 years, is it not? And he's like, asking him this question, it's like 6 years, right? And you know, he's just trying his best. And this guy stops, stared at the justice for just a moment, and he said bluntly, Your Honor, there is no statute of limitations in admiralty. And everybody that was in the courtroom, I mean, there were like tons of people watching this case. They were like, dude, oh crap, this guy just dropped the mic. He just went against literally like the #1 Supreme Court guy on the planet. Holy crap, oh my gosh, this is insane. And a hush. You know, everyone was like, oh, dude, whoa. And the temperature of the room dropped to 0. I mean, everyone was like, whoa. Did this guy just seriously say that crap? Like, whoa. Now, this lawyer, you know, he was right. And the justice, he was wrong. The challenge is, he told him that he was wrong. And that was where his mistake lied. Because telling somebody they're wrong does not make them friendly. And even if you have the law on your side, you're not gonna be able to win without other people, right? And this guy, he still believed that he had the law on his side. The challenge was like, he knew that he spoke better than he ever spoke before, but he wasn't able to persuade the court, wasn't able to persuade these individuals. And he made an enormous blunder by telling a very learned and famous man that he was wrong. Because when you tell somebody that you're wrong, you're literally making yourself an enemy to them, because you're actually hurting them by criticizing them. You see, few people are logical. Most people are prejudiced and biased. This guy, he was prejudiced and biased. Everyone here, prejudiced and biased. Totally normal. Most people are blatant with preconceived notions, with jealousy, suspicion, fear, envy, and pride. Some very basic but detrimental attributes when leveraged in the wrong way. And most citizens don't want to change their minds about their religion, or their haircut, or their communism, or their favorite movie star. So if you're inclined to tell people they're wrong, it's gonna crush the connection. It's gonna destroy the relationship, and it's gonna fundamentally alienate you from other people, which is just awful. This guy had a huge challenge in this court case after this interjection where he said, you're wrong. He separated himself from this guy, and he totally destroyed any sort of, you know, connection or respect that they had. And all he had to do to change everything here was to raise his hand and say, look, you know, I'm not 100% sure, I might be wrong, but you know, we're both smart lawyers, you're smart justice. I'm not 100% sure if that's correct, but I could be wrong. You know, let's think about this. Is that really right? I'm not 100% sure if that's right. I don't really think so. And then all it takes is one person over here to raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. And now you get to that end result of the person being wrong without the hatred of you telling them they were wrong. Right? Instead, it's a neutral third party, or maybe it's an epiphany they have, or maybe you just freaking Google it and let them Google it and let them figure it out. And now they're going to be like, oh my gosh, you were right. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. You were correct. You deserve so much more. And they literally will want to reciprocate to you because you didn't actually like shout them out. This is so key. Like, even if you know the right answer to something, don't just like scream, look, this is the answer. Like, unless you have like 5 seconds, then you've got to leave and you're like, you can't spend your time with somebody. Like, let them come to the conclusion on their own. Studying for this math test, right? And you had this problem, and you had to use, you know, this test to sort of work out this concept of like conditional convergence, and it's just like math stuff, right? And we're reviewing for this test, and you know, this guy I'm working with, Charlie, he makes just a slight error in some of his math, or he just kind of skipped one of the test conditions and stuff. You know, it's like, what did I do wrong here? And I'm like, I've got 2 options, right? The first option is to be like, you know, you were wrong, this is what you need to do, this is the thing that you skipped. And that's what most people do. And like, if you do that, they'll be like, oh, cool, thanks, then they'll leave, you know? And there's like no connection whatsoever. Versus, you know, I'm not 100% sure, let's look at it, let's go through it together, let's go through the steps, pull up the notes, and I'll work it with you. And I pull up the notes and I show him, you know, the process. Instead of like reading it out and being like, here's how you do it, Let him figure it out for himself. You have to teach the other person to fish and let them fish for themselves. And then what happens, right? They feel so much better for it. They want to stick with, like, Charlie wants to stick with me, right? Because, like, we work together as a team rather than an individual just spouting out answers. You want to be like a group that's collectively getting to that end result that you want in any aspect of your life, right? So powerful, so influential. It all comes down to this single core fundamental key concept. Because the moment you realize that, like, all of a sudden it is so much easier to connect with people, because they will want to go through this process with you over and over again, because it makes them feel significant, it makes them feel important, it makes them feel special, and most significantly, it allows them to feel like they are wanted in some sort of social situation, which is gonna add so much value to their lives. It's huge. There's this one little paragraph that Dale includes from, an enlightened book by James Robinson's, and it's so powerful. And what he does is he wants you to, like, understand this key foundational concept. Any moment that you try to, criticize or tell people that they're wrong, or just instantly jump to that end result instead of going through the process with them, alongside them as their companion. And I think it's so powerful. So I'm gonna read it to you. It's huge. It's huge. It says, we sometimes find ourselves changing our minds without any resistance or heavy emotion. But if we are told we are wrong, we resent the imputation to harden our hearts, right? Like, people on their own, they will slowly realize, oh, okay, maybe this is where I need to go. But if you try to tell somebody, hey, look, this is where you need to go, they're going to resist this change. They're gonna wanna jump off this line and go back to where they would normally be on their own path to get to the result, right? We are incredibly heedless in the formation of our beliefs. Like, people believe some weird crap, but find ourselves filled with an illicit passion for them when anyone proposes to rob us of their companion. Like, you might have this ideology that you have, or maybe you have this pedestal you're on. And for me, like, for a while when I was starting out, this was like, getting into stuff like My Little Pony. Like, I knew that it was so powerful. It would change my life, change the life of so many people. And it was like, whenever I was so passionate, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, so great. It'll change everything. But, like, at the same time, right, you can't just, like, attack someone, like, what they're passionate about, what they care about, even if it's out of the standard, right? And so as these come in, right, if you have, like, I remember, like, a lot of people, like, dude, that's weird. It's like, blah, 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 blah. It's just gonna people are just gonna put up a barrier. They're gonna put up a field. They're gonna try to defend what they're passionate about in the first place and create newfound beliefs to reinforce what they already think is correct, because they feel like they're being attacked. Versus, maybe somebody has a wrong position on some sort of investment or something that actually matters. They're up on this pedestal and they're like, I think GE is gonna go bankrupt and their stock is never gonna come back, even though they're, like, literally at 52-week highs, which is so exciting. Doubled that position. Just such a great feeling. And maybe they're in this position where they're like, they're probably wrong. Like, instead of just attacking them, right, which is not going to work, it'll never work, you want to sort of walk up the staircase to get to where they are very slowly, very carefully, and then get to the top and just say, hey, let's look at the facts together. What do you think? Let's look at what's going on here. Let's look at the annual report. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the accounting. Let's dive deep and figure out what's really going on in this situation. It's going to be 10,000 times easier to change someone's mind or to get to the better result, or actually learn that, hey, maybe this person's right, and understand why. Changes everything. It's not the ideas themselves that are dear to us, but our self-esteem, which is threatened. People care not so much about the ideas, but about their self-esteem, right? Like, that's the tower that they're on. They're standing on their self-esteem. And the little word, my, is the most important one in all of their life. And properly to reckon with is like the beginning of wisdom. It's all the same. Of course, whether it's my dinner, my dog, my house, or my father, my country, or my God, we not only resent the imputation that our watch is wrong or that our car is shabby, but that our conception of the canals on Mars, or the pronunciation of Aspicitas, of the medicinal value of salicin, or the date of Sargon, subject to revision. These people just want to continue to believe, under any circumstances, what they've been accustomed to, accept as true. And they will resent with complete and total arousal any doubt that is cast upon any of their assumptions. It leads them to seek any manner of excuses that will force them to cling on to themselves and their success. People want to stick with their beliefs, they want to stick with their core, they want to stick with their foundation, they want to be themselves. They don't care. It's all them. That's what they're passionate about. People care about their own beliefs, and they'll always look for validation of what they care about. You look at social media, right? You can surround yourself with yes people all day, every single day. People that all have your same beliefs. People that, I can surround myself all day with people that are just fanatic about ponies. And it's like, not that I do that, like social media is a pretty big waste of time. But like like everyone does that, right? They'll surround themselves with people that sort of reinforce those beliefs. Because literally the last thing anybody wants is they feel like they're wrong, or to feel like, they did something that wasn't right, or feel their beliefs or their systems or their ideas challenged. It's the last thing anyone wants. Carl Rogers, he was a huge juju psychologist. He wrote a book on like being a person, and he wrote that he found it of enormous value when he could permit himself understand the other person, right? To actually sit there, listen, and say, look, you know what? I actually kind of understand what you're saying, and I can connect with you, right? The way in which he would have worded the statement might seem strange, but like the key concept is that it's necessary to permit oneself to understand another. You have to say in wholeheartedness, yes, I will listen, and I will care about this other individual. And see, the challenge is like people's, their first reaction to most statements that we hear from other people is an evaluation or judgment rather than an understanding of it. And when someone expresses a feeling, an attitude, or belief or tendency, is almost always immediately to feel, either that's right, or that's stupid, or that's abnormal, or that's unreasonable. Have you ever felt yourself saying that? Have you ever felt yourself saying, have you ever heard yourself, you caught yourself saying, that's right, that's stupid, that's abnormal, that's unreasonable? Have you ever heard yourself saying, that's incorrect, that's wrong? What about, that's not nice? Very rarely do we permit ourselves to understand precisely what the meaning of the statement is to the other person. We don't actually listen to like what they are intending to say. And instead of like taking this logic or taking this argument or taking this stance for what it is and like actually contemplating it, people are emotional, right? They're not logical. And so they'll be like, that's right, or that's stupid, or that's abnormal, or that's unreasonable, or that's not nice, that's incorrect. And they'll jump right to these conclusions instead of focusing on the actual underlying information. And so your goal, right, is to transcend above, those standard immediate reactions, those natural tendencies to just label something, right? These are all what? These are all labels. You want to jump over that. You want to stop labeling and start understanding and start caring and start really getting what's actually going on so that you can apply it to your life objectively, because in reality, most of these third party, most of these outside perspectives will fundamentally change everything if you can understand where somebody's coming from, where they actually are, what is the ground they're standing on. The moment you can do that, changes everything, and it brings them into the same state that you want to be in, right? It brings you into a state not of challenge or, argument or differentiation, but instead it brings you into this place where you're able to constructively and objectively get to the best answer possible by combining different individuals' ideologies together. That's huge. That's literally what creates multi-billion-dollar companies. It's literally just collections of people all coming together and working towards a common goal. It's so powerful, so huge. And the way you do that is by staying objective. The way you do that is by actually listening to others instead of trying to listen to yourself, instead of trying to listen to your mind. You have to take a minute, step back, step out of your tendencies to just immediately object. And instead of trying to think about how you're going to respond to somebody while they're talking to you, just sit there and listen and stop yourself from thinking about other things, or stop yourself from thinking about what you're going to say or how you're going to respond or react to somebody. And instead, only focus on what they're saying, only focus on listening. You'll process that information into such a grander, deep level, especially if you're trying to like write it down or take notes. Like, it'll get in your mind so much more effectively and last so much longer, and you'll have such a deeper understanding of it solely from this core foundational implementation of ignoring, what you might instantly think, and instead stepping up to your higher order of thinking and processing ability to actually look at an entire situation and really understand where every perspective, every vision, every aspect is coming from, and say, okay, look, I got this. I'm expanding myself. I'm making it happen, and I'm getting to that next level because of that, and I have that success, right? And that really is how you really grow this concept right here of like doing more, being more, and growing that group mastermind mindset mentality. Like it all comes from this single core concept of actually caring about what other people say, instead of seeing others as an objection or as a challenge or something that you need to overcome. Because in reality, you know, like I'm nothing, nobody is anything without other people. The president of the, I mean, you've got to have other people to have that significance. It doesn't matter, maybe they're clients, maybe they're workers, maybe it doesn't matter. Co-workers, like there's always gonna be that other perspective, and you wanna take it in the best light possible so that you can kind of pull out those little nuggets of gold information that could actually change everything if you just applied them by listening to others, which is freaking huge. So yeah, that's the core, that's the key concept, and that's the foundation for so much. So hope you guys get a ton of value from this module. Go out there, apply it, absolutely crush it, and I will see you in the next module. Thank you, bye.